Are you ready for the best in Sooner football recruiting news? Then it's time to get locked in with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. You lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Whether you're a recruiting doomer or sunshine pumper, text the guys on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And call your shot on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line at 405-329-9000.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
And thus begins what we are calling the month of nothing on this show. It is July. Fall camp is rolling around in August. It's the last month of the year without football, but it is also the longest and driest month of the year without football, because not only is football not happening, basically nothing is happening. MLB baseball is happening, if that floats your boat. MLB regular season baseball is really the only thing we have to get us through this drought. If you're a Nathan's hot dog eating contest person, I guess that's coming up this weekend. So you can watch Joey Chestnut and a bunch of other degenerates stuff their faces with hot dogs. Listen, I have never watched the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Don't really have a desire to watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I catch clips in like 5-second increments on social media. I'm like, yep, I'm glad I don't tune into this. Glad I didn't watch this again this year.
Yeah, why do people like watching grown people stuff their face with glizzies?
You can argue there's nothing more American than eating 80 hot dogs or whatever it is they eat in the span of 10 minutes. But
I mean, given our obesity rate, that makes a lot of sense.
Listen, I'm as patriotic as it gets. Love this country, love the red, white, and blue. If that's the epitome of Americanism, that might actually be a little too American for me. I don't know if I'm quite that chauvinistic. But here in the month of July, there is virtually nothing going on. And on this show, for an hour every day, we talk about football recruiting. At least we try to. We're going to make every attempt to do that for 20-something shows in the month of July. I don't know how much success we're going to have because we are waiting on decisions from 2 targets in the 2027 cycle for Oklahoma. Both of them now have decision dates on the calendar. We will know tomorrow, Thursday, July 2nd, whether it is going to be OU or BYU for 4-star edge rusher Uhila Wolfgram out of the state of Utah. Next Tuesday, July 7th, or is that a Monday? That's a Monday.
July 7th?
Yeah, July 7th is a Monday.
No, that's a Tuesday.
Oh, that is a Tuesday.
Today is July 1st, and it's a Wednesday.
Okay, so yes. Next Tuesday, July 7th, we will know the decision from 3-star Hutto, Texas athlete Jaden Fields, whom Oklahoma likes at safety. Now, things look good for OU and Fields. Things are very much up in the air heading into tomorrow's decision day for Wolfgram. Between OU and BYU, the Sooners and Cougars going back and forth and back and forth. Rivals.com's Greg Biggins, who's done a great job covering the Wolfgram recruitment and does a great job covering recruiting out west, called this one of the tightest recruiting battles of the year earlier today. So that just tells you how close the race is right now between BYU and Oklahoma. But whether or not Wolfgram chooses OU and whether or not Jaden Fields chooses OU, that's pretty much it, Grayson Singleton. We don't have much else to wait on. We don't really have anything else to wait on in the 2027 cycle until the season rolls around and we start to get an idea of what late evals Oklahoma's going to pursue.
But it also gives the opportunity for the staff to really do a good, thorough examination of the work that they've done, and not in a vain manner, but to really look at what is in front of us and see, okay, did we miss something? Is there a gap in the roster perception-wise that we need to go ahead and circle back to? So when you get all of your work done as expeditiously as they have done, you can have a more coordinated effort to do some more stuff come the season, because you're going to have a nice gauge of, okay, we're good here, we're good there, maybe we should reevaluate here, things of that nature. So it's always a trickle-down effect when you can have just, I mean, the ability to plan, yes, but also the ability to, like we mentioned yesterday, go on vacation, reset, recharge, have a fresh mind so that you're going to be able to work more efficiently and, dare I say, more effectively as well when you're not all stressed out. So I think this month, while we don't have something to talk about, they will be laying the groundwork, I think, for things that we will have to talk about outside of actual football come September and October.
What I'm trying to say here, folks, is that we're going to need your assistance to get through this month.
Oh, no.
Do you have questions? Anything you want to hear us discuss throughout the month of July in order to get you through the drought and back to football in August? Hit us up on the First Liberty Bank text line, 405-651-3439. Now, this show is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. If you're shopping around for a new vehicle, why not a GMC? GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and the folks out at Dorsey Jones are as experienced, as passionate as they come. Make the trek out to El Reno and check out Dorsey Jones. General Booty's lieutenant hit us up and said, Grayson, Juicy Fruity, and Oh-So-Boozy Singleton talking smack on people watching glizzy gobbling is poetic.
Okay, number one, let's get a couple things straight. Number one, I did not write that commercial. Number two, I just record the things that I'm told to record, and I do so in an artistic way. Number three, you choose to watch people stuffing their throat with glizzies. We are not the same person here. No, I will willfully use my time to do other things than watch that.
Brian and Bigsby said Parker was claiming he thought gorging on Texas Roadhouse was what made America great not 10 minutes ago. Listen, Brian, if we can't distinguish between having a nice, round, hefty meal at Texas Roadhouse and eating 80 hot dogs in 10 minutes, I don't know, man. I can't help you at that point.
I'm about to say,
Those are on two completely different planets.
Do you like hot dogs in general? Because as I've gotten older, I've moved away from hot dogs.
I'm a brat guy.
Really? See, I've moved away from that. I'm almost exclusively a burger guy now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to see me turn down a burger.
Sure.
Love me a good burger. But if I have my choice between a hot dog and a brat, I've been this way for probably about 10 years.
Okay.
I'd lean in the direction of a brat. Brats in the summer, those hit. Well, apple Gouda bratwurst. You ever had one of those? Outstanding.
A verified source asks, hasn't your mother ever told you not to talk about what other men put in their mouth, Grayson? Generally, I stay away from that, man. I generally avoid it, except when it comes to this.
And yet here we are. Sooner287 says, topic for the next month, 2028 recruits that OU has the best chances on. And yeah, I mean, once the decision comes down from Jaden Fields next week, we're really going to have not much of a choice but to kind of take an early look ahead at the 2028 cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Start watching tape, start doing deep dives on some of these guys that Oklahoma has identified early on as key targets in 2028 and see where that goes from here. Or from there, I should say. Brian Bixby says pretty much the same thing. 80 dogs is like a 30-ounce porter, and the buns are the same as all the Roadhouse rolls you eat there. Brian, I have never eaten 80 Texas Roadhouse rolls.
Mm-mm.
And if I ever did, just put me to sleep at that point.
Yeah. That doesn't sound fun at all. I miss when Texas Roadhouse had the large kegs of peanuts that you would just dig into and crack them open.
Yeah,
and
I
eat
tell
them
you,
while you're waiting to be sat.
Yeah, there are some Texas Roadhouses these days where you can't even get the peanuts anymore. Some have them, some don't.
Some have them just out like they used to be.
No, they come in bags now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
certainly
what I thought.
not in kegs anymore. Those days have passed us by.
Long gone.
We're becoming less American by the hour. We did have, oh gosh. Joe Boozer Tennis says, locked in, a Grayson Singleton personality and lifestyle podcast all July.
That's hilarious. That's a good one.
Okay, let's get on the topic of ball. And again, there's not that much to be said about the Uhila Wolfgram process at this point. Nobody really knows whether it's going to be OU or BYU tomorrow. Neither school has been informed as of yet what the decision is for Wolfgram, so we will all find out together tomorrow at noon. A 405 listener asks, does OU have a top 5 O-line in the SEC? Thanks. What say you, Grayson Singleton?
Time will tell. I would say time will tell. You've got a true sophomore starting at left tackle and a true starter presumably starting at right tackle. Right guard. A brand new right tackle and a first-year full-time starter at left guard, even though we believe those guys are going to be good. To me, this is the ultimate wait and see. I would not be surprised at all if they end up being a top 5 offensive line in the SEC, and if that's the case, boy, Oklahoma's going places. But I'm not comfortable saying it just yet. Let me wait and see on that one.
And I think that's fair. That's probably where I would lean as well. There are plenty of other programs across the SEC that have more experience along the offensive line than Oklahoma does. However, I don't know if there are more than 2 or 3 SEC offensive lines that have the type of potential that Oklahoma's O-line does heading into 2026. And that's that rings especially true because we haven't seen a full season of Michael Fasusi yet. We haven't seen a full season of Ryan Foje. We haven't even seen a full season of Eddie Pierre-Louis. At least at Oklahoma, we haven't seen a full season of Jake Michaela and Imarian Harris, both of whom came to OU via the portal. And the median Oklahoma offensive lineman in 2026, the third of the 5 guys, the average of Oklahoma's 5 starters on the offensive line is a better player than the median guy has been in at least 5 years, I would say. This is a very athletic, very high upside, potential-laden offensive line group for Oklahoma. So right now, what I call the top 5 unit in the SEC, not based off what we've seen, not based off the data that we have to go off, but
it's on the board.
If you ask me to project whether they're going to be a top 5 offensive line in the SEC come the fall regardless, I would say, yeah, that's probably a fair expectation.
I mean, and the other thing is that we didn't point out is got to keep these dudes healthy.
Got to.
And that has been the hang-up for Oklahoma's offensive lines these last few years, is that they've been a turnstile in terms of availability. So you can keep them healthy, and they can develop continuity across 12 weeks. That's great. How realistic is that to expect? You decide for yourself.
We need to take a second to acknowledge Recruiting Boomer, who said, "Dang, I am blocked. This is heartbreaking. I'm feeling very unappreciated. You guys have no idea how many of these award-winning texts have been in the middle of life-threatening traffic. When I push send, I feel so accomplished, only to be heartbroken over and over." Listen, Recruiting Boomer, I can't endorse this, because if you get pulled over for texting and driving like Diana Rossini, and you tell the cops you were texting Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton, that doesn't carry as much weight as Diana saying, I was just going back and forth with Kevin O'Connell. We're probably not getting you out of a ticket.
Oh, that's a good pull right there. That's a good one.
South Texas Sooner says, I know your specialty is OU recruiting. But since we are in the drought for July, can you spend some more time discussing other SEC teams and their incoming recruiting class, who to look for, etc.? I like that, South Texas Sooner. We can certainly do that. And I did want to spend some time on today's show and examine some of the other recruiting classes in the SEC in the 2027 cycle. But I think what you're getting at is more, who did these programs sign in the 26 cycle that could make an immediate impact and could raise the bottom line for their respective programs heading into the coming season, i.e. the season that will be played this fall. And so we can certainly dig into that. I am eager to do so. You know me, I'm a recruiting nerd, so I've got a pulse on recruiting everywhere, not just Oklahoma, and we will get into some of those SEC classes and some of those early impact guys that signed across the conference in advance of the 2026 season. So rest assured, we will hit that. CD from Hockley with our cursory Devon Mitchell reference of the week. Devon Mitchell is the reigning Texas Roadhouse roll-eating champ. And Brad from Mustang added, COVID killed the Texas Roadhouse community peanut can and the throwing the shells all over the floor.
See, I thought that was gone way before COVID.
I did too.
Yeah, I don't
sure,
think that was a COVID thing.
As with many things, COVID might have been the final nail in the coffin.
Well, they sure as hell ain't bringing it back.
Yeah, at this point, there's so much of our way of life from pre-COVID that we are just never getting back. For instance, it's now socially acceptable for ESPN commentators to do on-air hits from their kitchen wearing AirPods. Whereas I can recall what we were being taught even in journalism school.
Right.
Low-quality school-sponsored broadcasts in like 2018, 2019. You put anybody on the air that doesn't have an actual microphone, you are going to feel somebody's wrath. Now it's just like, okay, well, as long as they have a webcam and an external or an internal microphone, a speaker, then you're good to go. Yeah, sure. Go put them on national TV.
I don't know. Maybe I feel like especially ESPN has done this where they're trying to get away from being, as formal. You know what I mean? Like, sure, they're still going to wear the suits and everything on SportsCenter, but let's not be let's unbutton the top button just a little bit. And I feel like that might be part of it. Hell, they employ somebody who used to do a show in a tank top.
That is true. Still does a show in a tank top.
Hardly. Yeah, very hardly now, though.
Puerto Rican Sooner says, hey, that's a lie. I got pulled over in Hennessy, Oklahoma, and the cop saw the KREF app on my car screen and immediately forgot why he pulled me over. Yeah, maybe we got more sway than we thought.
Puerto Rican. Go ahead. Puerto Rican Sooner also said, Grayson, are you ready to be an early morning riser the next couple days? It's just tomorrow.
What happens tomorrow?
Well, TJ's on vacation, so I get to hang out with Plank. I haven't gotten up that early in a minute.
Really?
I'll probably have to get up at like 4:30 tomorrow morning.
Sheesh. 6 a.m. wake-up call.
Man.
At least to go on air. Wild times.
Yeah, I know, man.
405.
This will be interesting.
405-651-3439. That's the First Liberty Bank text line. As South Texas Sooner requested, let's start digging into what's going on across the rest of the SEC in recruiting. Now, today is the 2-year anniversary of Oklahoma's official entry into the conference as a member institution. In 2 years as a member of the SEC, how has recruiting changed at Oklahoma? We'll discuss that, and again, we'll start to discuss some of the classes that are taking shape across the conference on the other side. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Stay right here.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Beats and Bites is back for its 10th anniversary. Join us to celebrate a decade of delicious food, incredible live music, and unforgettable memories at Riverwind Casino.
Don't miss the fun with Flatland Cavalry, Saturday, July 11th.
I know I could find me a place
With Jason Boland and the Stragglers.
sun is shining somewhere in Texas.
Book your tickets online or at the box office for only $10. And we'll see you at Riverwind.
Little things now can make the big things possible. Small choices like eating healthy, taking a daily folic acid vitamin, reducing stress, and maintaining regular doctor visits during pregnancy can have a big impact on your baby's health. It's more than just one moment. You're preparing for a lifetime. Visit preparingforalifetime.com to find more tips to keep your baby safe and healthy.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
The Gimme Zone is back. Join Golf Digest panelist Brian Vineyard and myself, Josh Elmer, every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. as we break down and dissect everything in the world of golf right here on the Ref and the KREF app. The Gimme Zone is brought to you by our friends at Van Hoos Fence, the premier fence company in Oklahoma. Hear from great guests and from the game's biggest stars as we spend every moving day with you. From February at Pebble Beach through the majors to the Tour Championship in September, the number one choice for golf coverage in the state of Oklahoma, it's right here on the Ref.
Hey, it's Tyler McComas with The Rush. If your 4th of July fireworks plan is grab whatever's left next to the beef jerky, we need to talk. Big Brooks Fireworks in Norman is where I send people who want the biggest bang for their buck. And I mean the kind of bang that makes your neighbors look over the fence and say, well, somebody came prepared. They've got the biggest kids selection in the state, so the little ones can line up the driveway without you needing a financial advisor or a fire marshal on standby. This year, don't show up with a sad sparkler and a half-hearted popper. Go big. Go Brooks. While you're there, check out the historic old schoolhouse on 24th Avenue Northwest. Get a picture in front of the huge 100-year-old American flag and enjoy shopping in their brand new air-conditioned fireworks emporium. Because nothing says freedom like buying fireworks without sweating through your shirt. And yes, bottle rockets are back in Oklahoma, so act accordingly. Big Brooks Fireworks is where the sky's the limit. Find them on Facebook at Big Brooks Fireworks or online at BigBrooksFireworks.com. Light up your summer with Big Brooks Fireworks.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We are KOCO5 News, live, local, late breaking. Your trusted source on every device.
13 years most accurate, alerting you first to severe weather, keeping you safe.
Celebrating the places that made us and the road that still brings us together.
Because this is home. We don't just cover Oklahoma, we're part of it. And you deserve news that puts you first.
Dedicated to Oklahoma, dedicated to you. KOCO5, live, local, late breaking.
It's locked in here on the Ref. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you. The First Liberty Bank text line always available if you want to make your voice heard at 405-651-3439. And as we mentioned off the top, it's been 2 years. 2 years to the day since Oklahoma joined the SEC. And in those 2 years, Grayson, you know, people, I feel for at least a year or two going into the transition, people talked about the impending SEC bump, the quote-unquote SEC bump that Oklahoma would get in recruiting.
Yeah.
As we look in the rearview mirror 2 years down the road from the transition, it's really kind of hard to gauge what the SEC bump has really looked like for Oklahoma because it was 8 months after the transition to the SEC that the Sooners brought in Jim Nagy to completely revamp the way that Oklahoma evaluated and scouted and recruited. They established the front office model. Everything changed. And obviously, the results have been tangible. Oklahoma has a top 5 class in the 27 cycle, number 2 in the SEC behind only Texas A&M. The results are there, but it's also tough to tell how much of that is the SEC bump and how much of that is the Jim Nagy and friends bump.
I mean, it's an interesting conversation to have. Now, I will point this out. Where is the bump? So in the 2021 recruiting cycle, Oklahoma finished with the number 7 class. In the 2022 cycle, Oklahoma finished with the number 8 class. In the 2023 cycle, Oklahoma finished with the number 6 class. And then in 2024, once kind of the SEC stuff really started to get going, they were 9th. So, and then 2025 was outside of the top 10.
As was 2026.
And 2026 as well. So, if there has been a bump, it has been more of like a divot and not necessarily an ascension, which is where we get to Jim Nagy. And I think more so than going to the SEC, he's more responsible for this. If you had to make me pick one, I think the stark difference between the way things used to be done and the way things are done presently is so night and day that it is largely responsible, even more largely responsible, for the fact that Oklahoma than the fact that Oklahoma is in the SEC. So I would go with him. I would go with his front office. Because if I look at it, except for this one 2027 cycle that will likely finish in the top 5, Oklahoma kind of went down a little bit once they joined the SEC.
There's truth to that. As Oklahoma was making the transition, they were having a little bit tougher time competing for a top 10 slot in the recruiting rankings the way they had in years in the recent past. However, 2025 and 2026, there are reasons why Oklahoma was out of the top 10 in both of those years. 2025, they took a lighter class. It was a lot it was 18 signees that year. So that was more of an issue of quantity more so than quality. And then in 2026, you had, to use Jim Nagy's verbiage, a front office arriving downstream in the cycle. As there had already been a board built out, there were already targets in place, there were already a couple commits on board. And then here comes the front office, and you have to retool everything, reestablish new processes and protocols. And similarly, I don't know that OU ever had designs on last year's class being huge. Now, in the 27 cycle, Nagy's first full cycle as GM, what we have seen from the jump is that Oklahoma has made a push to build a very large class, numbers-wise, where we're expecting that they're going to take in the neighborhood of 30 signees. They're sitting right now at 26. That number could very well creep north of 30. And so concurrent with that, you have the move from 85 to 105 scholarships. And there's so much that's changed with regard to the whole recruiting ecosystem over the last couple of years. Again, when we talk about the SEC bump, it's really, really difficult to kind of unwind what exactly the SEC bump looks like and how much the SEC bump is responsible for how much better Oklahoma seems to be recruiting now that they have proof of concept in the SEC in the 2027 cycle and have had success in this conference versus how much of it is just because everything's a lot more organized than it once was and prospects gravitate towards a winner regardless of what conference you play in.
No, that's very true. And you look back at all the classes that precede the Brent Venables era, even the Lincoln Riley era and the Bob Stoops era, Oklahoma's recruiting very well. So, if anything, they've really recruited commensurate to what we've been used to. And it's an interesting text from Brian and Bixby who brings this up. Stacking stars and stacking talent are two completely different things. And true, but to that I'd say Oklahoma was having success. I mean, they were amongst the top 4. Remember, the playoff was a shrunken 4-team field those last couple of years in the Lincoln Riley era. Lincoln Riley was making the playoffs. They did it twice. So, yeah, you could say it's stacking stars versus stacking talent. They were stacking talent that was right up there with the top 5 teams in all of America and in that point in time. To me, the only differentiating denominator is Jim Nagy. Because I can look at rankings, I can look at results, I can look at all this other stuff. There's one thing that wasn't there, and that was Jim Nagy. That's why I would go with him being so consequential to the fact that Oklahoma, I believe, is going to have a top 3, if not a number 1 class at some point. And I think it will largely be due to the way he has operated this system in operation.
When we look at average ranking per commit, and again, rankings are not the end-all, be-all, but I think this provides some context for just how rosy the outlook is for Oklahoma's 2027 cycle and that group of 26 commits in the eyes of national evaluators. Oklahoma has the 4th highest ranking per commit in the SEC for the 27 cycle. Number 1 is Texas A&M. We've talked about the class that Texas A&M is building at length. It's absurd.
Massive.
It's ridiculous. I would be stunned if it is not the number 1 class on National Signing Day with as much talent as they have stacked, especially in the top end. Texas has an average ranking per commit of 91.38, or rating per commit, I guess I should say. 91.38 for A&M, 90.76 at Texas. They're actually third. LSU is second at 91.03. And then Oklahoma sits fourth at 90.18. And that generally provides a pretty solid indication of a program's staying power in the recruiting rankings, i.e., you're not going to see Oklahoma take a steep dive in the rankings over the next few months because other programs are adding more commits than Oklahoma is. If their average rating per commit right now is north of 90, you would think with some of the evals they've made and some of the guys that we regularly talk about as being undervalued nationally, like a Michael Davis, like a Samuel Nelson, Tyson Ross as well. If we have the inkling, as we do, that number is only going to tick upward, pretty solid indication that Oklahoma is going to stay on track for a top 5 class in the 27 cycle.
No, yeah, it's an interesting point, and there's no way I believe they're dropping out of the top 5. If they do, they're not dropping out of the top 6. I mean, it would be one spot. I just can't. I really cannot fathom that happening. But, I mean, if you want to transition that conversation to, I think it was Southwest Sooners text about what are the other SEC teams they're doing. If you look at, obviously we know Texas A&M's class is an absolute monster.
6 5-stars.
6 5-stars. I was just looking at that. Texas's class, not too shabby either. Like, do you think there is a sizable gap talent-wise with the people you've talked to and the evaluations that you've done? Do you think there is a sizable gap between what Texas A&M is bringing in, what Texas is bringing in, and what Oklahoma is bringing in this year?
I don't think it's a sizable gap between the three. I think when you look at the gap between those three and the rest of the SEC, that's where things start to open up a little bit.
That's a different story.
I mean, and I'll tell you, we've gotten a couple texts about it already. It's certainly worth bringing up. I was, for years and years, my viewpoint on Alabama football recruiting is that regardless of how it looks at any particular juncture on the calendar, come signing day, they're going to be in great shape. They're Alabama. This recruiting cycle is kind of the first that I can recall where I'm starting to question, has Alabama lost a step? Because you look right now
That's a good point.
At their class ranking per commit or rating per commit. I mentioned Oklahoma was 90.18, fourth in the SEC. Alabama's number, 88.06.
Oh.
They have the number 13 class in the SEC. And only 2 of their current commits are players in the national top 250. Now, this is not uncommon chronologically when we look back at the history of Alabama football recruiting over the last decade or so. Here's the difference, though. Generally, where Alabama would make their hay is they would close very strong. They and Oregon were notorious for this. They would close very strong down the stretch with a handful of top 100, top 150 guys that were still on the open market, still on the board. That doesn't really exist right. Like, those guys don't exist right now.
No.
In the 27 cycle, Grace. Like, all the high-end guys, for the most part,
they're committed.
Are off the board. They're committed, or they're very obviously leaning towards one school that is going to lock them in the next few weeks here, following OVs. They have a 5-star quarterback in Elijah Haven. They have a high 4-star receiver who just committed in Osani Gales, number 51 nationally. Their next highest ranked commit is running back Nigel Newkirk, who is the number 286 player in the country. So the top end of Alabama's class is small, and there's just not as much critical mass within the top 250, 300 for Alabama to make the type of headway over the final few months of the cycle that historically they have been able to make.
Let me ask you this. Is Alabama no longer the cool thing? This is the part of college football that goes in cycles. Is Alabama just no longer the cool thing anymore? Like, who's going to be the cool thing? I think LSU always is going to have a lot of staying power because LSU is just LSU. They have that sort of cool factor about them. I think Oklahoma has a cool factor now. I think Oklahoma has more of it because of how flashy that defense is. But has Oklahoma taken it away from Alabama? Because when one goes up, the other has to descend. And I see Alabama struggling to win games that they usually do not. I see Alabama losing games that they usually do not. I see a coach that is not as polarizing as the previous one, and it just seems like the mystique of Alabama in the last 2.5, 3 years has taken a more precipitous drop nationwide than I otherwise would have thought it would. And when I look at it from that perspective, what you just alluded to tells me, man, maybe Alabama just may not be the trendy thing anymore.
And here's the crazy thing. You look at in-state recruiting in the state of Alabama.
Go for it.
In the 27 cycle, man, and historically, Alabama and Auburn dominated in-state recruiting. Dominated it. Now, every so often, you'd get a guy that would go out of state to Ole Miss or Georgia or Ohio State, grabbed a couple of those guys in recent years. Let me read to you where the top 10 players in the state of Alabama are committed. The number 1 player in the state is King Hall, committed to Miami. Number 2, Carlos May, not yet committed to Ohio State, but in all likelihood going to commit to Ohio State. Number 3, Isaac McNeil, Auburn commit. Number 4, Jaden Aparicio Bailey, Clemson commit. Number 5, Donovan Moore, Auburn commit. Number 6, Jamison Roberts, Oklahoma commit.
Where's Jalen Scott on this?
He is, we're going to get to him in just a second. He's at number 10, Oklahoma commit. Number 7, Jatori Williams, Miami commit. Number 8, Caden Fife, just decommitted from Tennessee, so he's back on the market. Georgia appears to be the vibe there. And then Jabarius Guerrer from Vigor, Mobile, Alabama, committed to Texas. And so Alabama does not have any of the top 10 players in their own state committed and probably won't at the end of the cycle.
When's the last time that ever happened?
That requires some research, but that's research worth doing because I would imagine you got to go way back. And I mean, way
that
back.
has to be pre-internet recruiting era.
I would think so. I mean, can you imagine Oklahoma getting shut out of the top 10 in their own state? That does not happen.
I mean, if you judge by the text line, that's a lot more conceivable than what we're talking about with Alabama.
There's always at least one. Like Oklahoma only took one in-state commit last year, was Ezio Kafaleze, but he was the number 6 player in the state.
Sure, yeah.
And so even in the years where Oklahoma doesn't do quite as well in their home state, they always have at least a guy or two, and that's always been the case for Alabama in their own state. But I don't think it's a coincidence. You see them starting to lose the edge with recruits in their home territory, and you see their recruiting rankings starting to slip in the SEC. 13th out of 16 teams.
That's wild.
And, I mean, they're down there with the bottom feeders. Like, they're down there with Arkansas and Mississippi State, whom no one expects to recruit well because those programs suck right now.
The Modern Prospector on the YouTube chat, KREF Sports on YouTube is where you can find us, by the way. Grayson is correct. Parker, I've spoken with other Alabama fans. They all feel that they are losing ground in recruiting and development. And when I see that one, you remember that one clip a couple of years ago where they asked that lady, hey, what would you do if you won the $70 million Powerball? And she's like, I'd get Kellen DeBoer the hell up out of there.
And that was after one season.
1 season.
1 year of Kellen DeBoer. They were already there.
The vibes there, I don't think are this. I don't know if I would say they're in the doldrums, but the vibes there are not what they used to be.
No, and whoever had to fill Nick Saban's shoes was in an impossible scenario. I mean, credit to Kalen DeBoer for being willing.
Sure.
Credit to DeBoer for being willing to take that job in the first place because that is not for the faint of heart. But, I mean, you're kidding yourself. You think the guy after Nick Saban is ever going to be able to live up to the Saban standard or the expectations of Alabama fans?
But
it's just not happening.
He's also just a flat dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, remember when we did that story on this show about him starting to curse more?
Starting to curse, yeah.
But like it's deeper than that. Like, sure, you can just drop a bunch of more F-bombs, but it's like there's a difference between the emperor that was Nick Saban and his successor that is Kalen DeBoer. 2 very different vibes.
I'll give you a great parallel. Clark Lee makes a lot of sense at Vanderbilt. Clark Lee would not make a lot of sense a lot of other places in the SEC.
Yeah.
Because to a certain extent, you got to fit your fan base. You have to fit your fan base. And I don't know that Kalen DeBoer fits. 405-651-3439. First Liberty Bank text line. Hit us up with any final questions you have as we get ready to wrap up the show on the other side. One more segment here today on Locked In. This is The Ref. The home of Sooner fans, stay right here.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510.
Hey there, Ref Army, it's Dory Noka, name coming up. Host of the Dory Noka Show and lead anchor of the SEC Network. Catch Josh Helmer and myself every weekday, 9 to noon, as we'll talk everything OU and the SEC. No better way to listen to us, 9 to noon, than by downloading the KREF app, powered by Warren Cat. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, search for KREF, and you'll never miss a show, no matter what, no matter where you go. That's the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat. Whatever the job, whatever it takes.
To me, working at St. Jude, what makes it so special is that there's more research going on here. At St. Jude, we don't care who cures cancer, we just need to advance the cure. The heart of St. Jude is to take care of children with catastrophic diseases and to advance their cure rates, but we need to be able to do that for everyone. It's a bold initiative to try and bump cure rates all around the world, but it is our commitment.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
This is Jake Aldrich, partner at Aldrich Teasdale. At Aldrich Teasdale, we worked for the world's largest insurance companies before we learned how they truly treat people and know that they are out to minimize or deny what has happened to you. When fighting them, you need a lawyer who knows their game plan and will be there to guide you every step of the way. From your medical treatment to the final resolution, Aldrich Teasdale will be by your side. Don't wait. Call Aldrich Teasdale today at 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Yo, I'm your old basketball. Haven't seen you out on the courts in a while. Why not pass me over to Goodwill? Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. And that's a slam dunk. Donate today. Hey, I got next.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Remember, always be generous with the nutmeg. Just eyeball it.
Okay.
Mom's wisdom has served you well, but now it may be your turn to guide her.
Hey, I'm worried about Mom. She keeps forgetting her famous sweet potato pie recipe.
Some things come with age, sis.
And some don't.
Knowing the early signs of Alzheimer's in a loved one will help you make the best decisions for your family. Visit 10signs.org to learn the signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios with you, chatting with you on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And, you know, we went through that list of the top 10 recruits in the state of Alabama, Grayson, none of whom are committed to Alabama / will wind up committed to Alabama. And Brian and Bigsby on the text line hit us up and said, when everyone is paying players, it's harder to keep them in Alabama. And, okay, maybe that's one side of the coin. The other side, though, is you are Alabama. And so it's not as if everyone is better situated from a resources standpoint than like you should be one of those programs that is able to shell out whatever it costs to land some of the elite recruits in the country.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they putting their money toward in Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, and especially because they understand, as every program of that same ilk, cut from that same cloth does, like you can't lose touch with your own state. You can't lose touch with your home turf. You have to keep a strong recruiting presence locally. And so I think it's kind of fallacious to assume, well, other guys are spending money in the state of Alabama, so Alabama's just going to go spend money in like the Pacific Northwest or Michigan or Virginia or wherever. Like you would think Alabama would make a concerted effort to keep some of the best in the Yellowhammer State at home, and we're not really seeing that. Counterpoint, I think this was something that a lot of people were worried about at this time last year about Oklahoma. Are they starting to lose touch with their home state? Are they starting to ignore the long forged bonds that have been built via in-state recruiting for this program? And those questions started to crop up after they kind of backed off Mason James.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't offer Daniel McMorris. Kind of waved the white flag in the sweepstakes for Taj Overton. And there were, somewhat understandably, some folks freaking out as to whether Oklahoma was going to even maybe get shut out of the state entirely in the 26th cycle. They wound up getting Zizi Okafaleze, but he was kind of the lone representative. And what we had discussed about this time last year was it doesn't really have to do with Oklahoma willfully ignoring their own home state. It has much more to do with Oklahoma feeling like that just by happenstance, by chance, a lot of the high-end guys in the 26th cycle are coming at a price that Oklahoma does not believe is worth paying. And if there are guys that Oklahoma feels more than comfortable paying that price for, they're going to go after them in the years ahead. Just wait till the 2027 cycle. And it didn't take too long, about another 2 months, for Oklahoma to lock down two of the premier in-state recruits in that 27 cycle in Cooper Hackett and Caden Penny. And they would later add Gabe Osborne. They added Graydon Howell, made a run at Case Alexander, made a run at Ben Kolar. They weren't quite able to land both. But for the top 10 recruits, including the top 3, clean sweep of the top 3 in their home state for the 2027 cycle, that'll do, and that should assuage any concerns about Oklahoma being active locally in recruiting moving forward.
But also, I do think, especially when you look at a lot of these top classes, they're going to start looking a little bit wonky. And when I say wonky, you're not going to see a bunch of classes built by a bunch of people from that state. Like, let's take Texas A&M, for example, Parker. 6 5-stars.
Yep.
How many of them are from the state of Texas?
2?
1.
Really?
Kennedy Brown is the only one.
Jaquan Snell's not one of the 6?
He is not one of the 6. He's a 4-star.
Okay.
Jaquan Snell is also the only other one in the top 12 of their commits that is from the state of Texas. Elsewhere in the top 12, you got dudes from Inglewood, dudes from Vegas, dudes from Baltimore, New Orleans, Hampton, Georgia, Fort Lauderdale, like everywhere. So I do think if you're at the top of those lists, and this is why I've tried to tell people to kind of recalibrate these expectations in a way, just because of the different world that we're living in now of college sports, is that a lot of these classes are going to look very unfamiliar because there's going to be a lot of representatives from all corners of the country. Who would have thought somebody from Baltimore would choose to go hang out in College Station, Texas for 4 years? It's a new world. It's a more fun one, but it's a new world.
Yeah, their top commit, Mark Matthews, #1 offensive tackle in the country.
Fort Lauderdale.
A South Florida kid, right? And so you got to have a national brand these days. And if you don't have a national brand, you got to do what you can to start establishing one. because it ain't going to be as easy. Even if you live, or I should say even if a program exists within the confines of a talent-rich state, like the state of Texas, it's not as if you can just mine your backyard for all the talent you need anymore, because the competition, as we've discussed on past shows, has gotten stiffer in the state of Texas, because SMU can use all the money that they have now, and Texas Tech can use all the money that they have now, and Oregon and Ohio State and Florida can flock to the Lone Star State and make competitive offers to some of these kids. So you can't completely ignore local recruiting, but by no means can you allow it to be the lifeblood of your program anymore.
And to that point about having a national presence, there has to be a cool factor to you. Like, people do want to have to, people have to vision themselves saying, man, I'm going to wear that jersey and it's going to be dope. Like Texas A&M, I don't know what makes Texas A&M cool, but Texas A&M is somehow cool. Like, I don't think their coach is cool. I don't think the culture is very cool, but they're somehow cool. I think Jim has done a very good job, especially with how on the internet he is, of making Oklahoma very, very cool. And I think there's going to be, at some point, there's going to be a delineation between the teams that are and the teams that aren't. Like, look at Clemson, for example, Parker. You got a coach that hates everything. I don't think Clemson's very cool right now.
No, they're not cool.
And the results have kind of, ran in that direction.
They still get some quality classes based mostly on values, like the values connection that Dabo shares with some of the
But the last couple of years and ever since the start of the NIL era,
it hasn't been the same. You're right. It has not been the same. 405 Taylor says, Parker, I drove past a sign for Red Cloud, Nebraska on my way home from Omaha and thought of the story of the murders. Peak road trip conversation with my friend thanks to the show. That was Rulo, Nebraska. 405 Taylor. Rulo, Nebraska. Red Cloud is just a town. It's the town where Wyatt Fry was from, that big tight end that's committed to Northwestern that camped a few weeks ago that we talked about. But Rulo, Nebraska is the town where the murders took place. Red Cloud, that's not it. Red Cloud is known as the hometown of Pulitzer Prize-winning author Willa Cather and the childhood hometown, canonically, of Kim Wexler from the show Better Call Saul. Brian Bigsby says the only thing cool about Texas A&M is the checks they're cutting. I don't know, Brian. I mean, it's one of the great mysteries of life, though, because, we all see the Yell leaders and the weird Aggie cult traditions that are part and parcel of the A&M experience, and we think, how on earth could this university be regarded as cool? But, Grayson's spot on. Somehow, some way, recruits do consider Texas A&M cool.
I will say, their uniforms are nice.
They are.
I do like those uniforms.
Little maroon and white.
Yeah,
I can dig it.
Frisco Sooner says, guys, I've always said that exact same thing. It's been my opinion that in order for some teams to rise to the cream of the crop, it takes a few to lose ground. I've also always thought that part of the dominance of Bama and Georgia was a direct result of Texas, Texas A&M, Miami, Tennessee, Florida State, all being down during that period. They were stealing the talent from all those juggernauts. And yeah, college football is cyclical, man.
It is very cyclical. And it's a great point. If somebody had been in a coma for the last quarter century and you woke them up, you could not convince them, no matter how hard you tried, that Nebraska went almost a decade without even making it to a bowl game.
And LSU has won 3 titles.
Everything is cyclical. It comes in waves. And y'all are fortunate, man. The University of Oklahoma is one of the very few programs next to Ohio State, Georgia.
Like Notre Dame, maybe?
One of the very few programs that has been consistently an upper echelon program in college football. Maybe not an elite program year in and year out, but at their best, they're elite. At their best, they're competing for championships. But even at their worst, they're still more than respectable for almost 30 years now. But those of you that were around for the Gary Gibbs and John Blake years, the Howard Schnellenberger year, you can very well attest. The circle of life comes for everybody. It comes back around for everybody at a certain point.
Yeah. It'll happen.
And sometimes
what matters is how long you stay in the down period.
No doubt. Sometimes the peak and the valley can come in very close proximity. Ed Orgeron was the architect of the greatest team in college football history in 2019 and was fired 2 years later.
Now, granted, if he wasn't doing stupid stuff, that may not have happened.
It comes and goes in waves. Sometimes those waves are long and slow. Sometimes they're short and fast. But regardless, the waves keep on rolling. BFC, Bob from Cement, says, Parker, can we get your uncle on the show and bash some liberals? Well, I'm open to any and all ideas to get us through the month of July, Bob from Cement. So, hey, we'll we won't rule anything out. We will not rule anything out. But for today's installment of Locked In, it's a wrap. Call it a show. Gonna call it a day, and we'll run it back tomorrow afternoon with a Thursday installment of Locked In here from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. Coming up next, here on the Home of Sooner Fans, the Rush kicks off. It's Wednesday, which means I don't know who's doing the show with Tyler McComas.
It is Tyler and Ted.
Okay, it is Tyler and Ted today. Great. Tyler and Ted, the usual Rush crew, coming up with 3 more hours of OU sports talk on the other side. Stay right here. Don't turn that dial. And we will see you tomorrow. Take it easy.
Football. You love it. We love it. You